Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to tell you what the best ever recording is of Stravinsky's The Firebird. That's Zhar Ptitsa for you people who speak Russian. Let me tell you something. The Firebird is a big problem. I am only talking about the complete ballet here, not the suites, of which there are at least 3 or 4. The complete ballet is really, really tough. It probably has more horrible performances than any other work of Stravinsky. And I mean that. It's very, very difficult to do well. Why? Well, the reason is pretty straightforward. The problem is that the music is divided rather clearly into 2 types of event. There are the set pieces, the numbers, which are detachable, and then there's all the pantomime junk that happens between them. Now, the problem with the complete Firebird is that the pantomime junk that happens between them is musically, according to musicologists like Richard Taruskin and people like that, the most interesting music because it's based on what's called octatonic harmony that Stravinsky sort of snatched from Rimsky-Korsakov. And it's really very, very musically advanced. The set pieces, on the other hand, are adorable. They're based on folk tunes. It's the part that everyone loves, Da da da, da 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 da. It's lovely. It's wonderful. Do 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 do. Thwomp. They're tuneful, diatonic, pleasant pieces. The actual infernal dance is more octatonic than not, but of course we know the tune by then, and it's just exciting. It's big and noisy and exciting and colorful, and so it's all fine. That's the part that everybody likes. So when you do the complete ballet, the challenge is to getting past the dull bits into these set pieces and integrating them into the entire. This is integration. This is how you do integration in pantomime. The Firebird is pantomime. Firebird, fleep, 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 Firebird. So you're integrating. It's how to integrate the set pieces into the overall narrative framework of the ballet and deal with the harmonic and musical disparities between them in terms of their stylistics. It's a real issue. It's a real issue, not so much in an intellectual sense. It's really about rhythm and pacing and also color. You've got to make those dull pantomime bits interesting. And they are, because Stravinsky scored them magnificently. You've got 3 harps and offstage chimes and all kinds of stuff going on. But a lot of it's at very low dynamic levels. And a lot of those pantomime bits are very, shall we say, somnolescent. They're not moving too fast. So it's a challenge. It's a big challenge. And it's one that very, very few conductors have realized successfully. Astonishingly few. In fact, there are only 7, and I mean it, 7 great performances of the complete Firebird. That is, performances that do not have any dead spots, that actually get you through the thing without you wanting to just say, oh, when are we going to get to the nice folky thing? Or when's the infernal dance coming? Ooh, that's the good bit. You know what I mean? You want to be able to stay engaged throughout the entire piece. And the whole piece lasts. It's long. It's like 50 minutes long, 47 minutes. It's long. There is, however, one suite which gives you sort of the best of the ballet without having to listen to the dull bits, and that's the 1945 suite. And for some reason, it's not very frequently performed, and I don't understand why, because it's clearly the best suite. The one that everyone does is like the 5-movement business that lasts about 20 minutes, and it has, you can add some of the filler bits between the numbers to connect them if you want. Some people do, some people don't. It's very messy. very, very messy. But the best version of the 1945 suite is this one, Nimi Yarvi with the London Symphony on Chandos. I'm telling you now, if you want to get a non-traditional Firebird suite that leaves out 20 minutes of pantomime music that you're not interested in, this is the one to get. It lasts half an hour. That's a good chunk. That gives you a very, very good chunk of the ballet. And I think that's entirely reasonable if that's the way you want to go. But we're going to talk about the 7 best recordings of the complete Firebird. And when you consider that it's been recorded about, 5,000 times complete, it's kind of remarkable that there are only 7 really great ones. But there are, I assure you, only 7 really great ones. Now, I know you people will have your favorites. You'll tell me what they are. But I want to say something straight out to all of you folks out there. Unless you have listened and own all 7 of these performances, I am not interested in whatever ones you're preferring, because you don't know. You just don't. And I know that sounds terribly snooty, but I've been spending 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. How old am I? Yeah, more. 40 years listening to complete recordings of the Firebird. And I've heard millions of them. I've heard them all. And I just have no patience for the dull ones. It's not one of my Stravinsky's, top 20. It's not one of my favorite pieces that he wrote. I understand its importance, and when I listen to it, because I'm very, very picky about these things, I do not want to be bored. I get angry if I get bored, and it's an easy piece that can sound dull. So I'm really certain that these 7 are the most exciting, interesting, consistently ear-catching versions of the Firebird out there. And some of them may be hard to find, but some of them are also pretty readily available. So, you ready? Without further ado, this is in no particular order until we get to numero uno. But these are the great ones. And actually, I've talked about one of them already in these chats. If you've been watching the other 400 and some odd that we're up to now, then you will have seen it mentioned. So, first, Michael Tilson Thomas with the San Francisco Symphony. This is on RCA. I wonder if they're going to reissue it on the orchestra's own label, or what's happening with this. It's coupled with The Rite of Spring and Persephone, which nobody ever does, and which is extremely beautiful. I don't even mind the fact that it has narration in French. It's really a beautiful work, and I love to listen to it. And this is a gorgeous performance. All 3 of these are great. And there's an absolutely terrific Firebird on here that kind of got buried, down in the pile. And no one talks about it or pays any attention to it, but it's an absolutely first-class Firebird. Tilson Thomas is wonderful at doing sort of impressionist, spooky texture music. Like, for example, his Debussy was always fabulous. His new recording, for example, The Image, is just gorgeous, and he did wonderful work in San Francisco. This was before they had their own label, back when they had RCA, who actually was making records with, major orchestras, with major people. And this is one of the best things they did. It's a great Stravinsky collection. And if you can find it, it's definitely worth hearing for everything on here. Not least Persephone, but this has a great Firebird. Next, this is also a great Firebird, and one that people seldom talk about. Esa-Pekka Salonen with the Philharmonia on Sony. Now, Salonen was he's one of the great Stravinsky conductors, period. And there was, and there isn't anymore, but there was a Sony box of all of his Stravinsky recordings, 7 discs, which you should have gotten. And if you didn't, it's probably too late. But they're great performances. His Stravinsky is uniformly terrific. And I really like this Firebird. Why? Because it's lean and mean and exciting and incredibly detailed texturally, very well played. It's absolutely first rate. Absolutely first rate. Terrific in every respect. Next, this is also absolutely wonderful. And if you want an SACD that'll knock your speakers out, Andrew Litton with the Bergen. It's Bergen, right? Yes, the Bergen, does it say? Yes, the Bergen Philharmonic on BIS. Happily, thank God for BIS, because they don't delete things normally. And this is easily available, and it's a stunner. Absolutely. This is the great modern recording of the Firebird, the most recent one, the one with the latest technology and sonics. It's completely first class in every respect. The tempi are not unusually quick, but the performance is so rhythmic and so clean and so clear and so texturally colorful. It's one of Litton's really, really great recordings recently, and I can recommend it without any hesitation whatsoever. It joins the select few. When you think about it, when that came out, there were only like 5 or 6 great recordings of the complete Firebird. Another one that also, for some reason, seems to have very little play, and it surprises me, is the complete original 1910 version. Boulez with the New York Philharmonic, not his DG remake in Chicago. That's not bad, but it's not as good as this. Why? Because it's slower. This is more exciting. This is also one of the best recordings he made in New York. And the sound is really good. The sound of it, somehow, whatever they did is right for this piece. And it's full of lusciousness and exoticism and color, and it's exciting, and it has Boulez's, trademark clarity and eye for detail. Absolutely terrific. And it comes with an absolutely fabulous Song of the Nightingale. If you like the Song of the Nightingale, they don't get much better than that. It's just tremendous. So Boulez, New York Philharmonic on Sony. The classic, one of the real reference recordings still, since the day it came out back in the turn of the mid 20th century, the turn of the 14th century. Now, seriously. Dorati on Mercury Living Presence with the London Symphony. This is the one we grew up with, right? Everyone got this one. Everyone had it at one point. And it spoiled you for everything that came after, didn't it? Because you would listen to the next one or the latest one and another one, and the complete Firebird, how exciting. And you listen to it and you go, It's not as good as Dorati's. In fact, Dorati's digital remake in Detroit is not as good as Dorati's. This was Dorati and Mercury Living Presence at their peak with smashing sonics and a really exciting performance. And this was at a time when doing complete Stravinsky ballets, doing complete anything ballets, was practically unheard of. But this one on Mercury Living Presence has held its head proud against all comers. It's still terrific. Absolutely first class. Then we have... this is kind of a sleeper, but if you can find it, it's definitely worth having. This was a Praga 2-disc set of all kinds of Stravinsky with all kinds of different people, featuring basically the Czech Philharmonic. And it has on it, aside from the Firebird, you get the Symphony in C with Neumann, and an amazing, amazing Les Noces with Zdeněk Kozler, and L'Histoire du Soldat, and some other little thingies. But the Firebird is with Christoph von Dohnanyi. And Dohnanyi is the Firebird guy. And he is amazing. And this is with the Czech Philharmonic, and it sounds very, very good. It's a live recording. It's absolutely terrific. One of the things that Dohnanyi does that I particularly like is that he restores the offstage trumpet parts. Well, they're not really offstage. They're on the stage in the ballet. And, you can sort of imagine them blasting out in the back. They only play one note. They just go ba 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 ba. What everyone else is going da 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 like that. And there's offstage trumpets or onstage trumpets, and it's very exciting to have them. It's nice. However, there is one, only one, that is the great, the best, the finest, the Firebird to have when you're having only one. And it's Dohnanyi again with the Vienna Philharmonic. And this is the one I talked about previously. It's a Decca digital. It sounds amazing. It's the Vienna Philharmonic playing like demons. Dohnanyi really, really had this piece down. He understood how to pace it. That's the key. The key is in the pacing. It's shaping and pacing and creating the right sense of flow. And of course, you have the Vienna Philharmonic, which is absolutely fabulous. And it's music that they don't play every 10 minutes, so they can't be slouchy and lazy about it. And Dohnanyi wasn't going to let them be slouchy and lazy about it anyway. and it's on Australian eloquence. It's a jewel, and this is that wonderful disc. I reviewed it separately. It's got the Rite of Spring, Petrushka, the Bartok Two Portraits, and the Complete Miraculous Mandarin. They are all fabulous performances. I mean, if you didn't get it because of my last video, get it because of this video, because it will also give you probably the best Firebird in the history of mankind. But again, if you can find the Czech Philharmonic one, that's great. If you want the Dorati or still have the Dorati, you're in very good shape. The Boulez is absolutely fabulous. And Litton, whoa, Litton is the one to have for you audiophile people. These are all great performances of the Firebird. But like I said, if you don't have one of these, you have not heard the Firebird. It's that simple. Because I wouldn't say all the others are junk. Most of the others are junk. And all of the others just have dead spots. They just don't keep the damn thing moving the way it needs to move. So I strongly recommend that you get one of these recommended recordings, maybe a couple of them. And for me, that's enough. I have to say, I had at one point many more Firebirds than I still have now. I had a flock of Firebirds. I really did. But like I said, the piece doesn't hold up for me unless the performance is absolutely stunning. Then I can listen to it. And these that I have just mentioned, I can listen to. And so can you. Keep on listening, folks. Thank you for joining me. Take care.